Hello out there in YouTube land. This is the commentator, and I'm going to be commentating on Poltergeist II, The Other Side. That's always been a catchy title to me. And I guess they titled it that because in the first movie, our biggest disappointment was we don't get to see where Carolyn went. We don't get to see how the mother got the child out of that place. But now we do. First thing I love about this movie, first thing you notice is, of course, the music. It really sticks out. And, of course, it was written by the guy who wrote the music for the first film, Jerry Goldsmith. And if you're a fan of his music, of course, you know he did the first Star Trek film and a few other Star Trek films. In my opinion, the Star Trek films that had the best music were the ones written by him. He also did the first Poltergeist movie. And it's a rarity that you get to see in movies that were only intended to be the first part and not the others. And no, the sequels were just added because of popularity. So they usually don't come back, but he did. And we were very grateful for it. So now we have the scene with the two Indians sitting at the fire. And I love how the fire changes colors. That's fantastic. I've always been curious about how to make fire blue. I know there's an easy way to do it, I'm sure, but it's very interesting. And the thing I love about this scene is that they call forth that spirit, and even to this day, I still do not know if that is the poltergeist themselves, because that's kind of like what they look like in the first one when they appeared, sorta. And when you see them throughout this movie, they kind of look like this. So, or this could be just the good spirits who are going to do battle with the evil poltergeist spirits later on. It's also interesting how they went up his nose. And so, apparently, he climbed this incredibly tall tower of a mountain, which I would still like to know how he got up there. Because he doesn't look like the mountain climbing type. Oh, just by judging by the music alone, you know that spear is going to be a very powerful weapon at some point. Foreshadowing. But yeah, flying up the nose ghosts, that's very interesting. This must be their cocaine addiction. No! Oh, good times. And then how'd he get down? Look at his eyes. He just looks like he's been doing coke. Just... I love when sequels show scenes of the original. When you see scenes of the original, that I love that. Just a few snippets here and there, just to remind you, hey, this is what the original looked like. And I love how some of these houses have messed up yards that haven't been tended to in a while, and some have, very well kept yards. So it's kind of interesting. I would think if you're trying to sell a house, you don't leave it in, let's say, this condition, for example. But then again, it doesn't really look like they care too much about selling these houses too much. I guess they just cut their losses and got the hell out. Which I know is what I would do. My dad had a pickup truck just like that. Except it wasn't blue. It was red. A little hint of a theme from the first movie. I love how he walks up the stairs to nowhere. Oh, Tangina. No Poltergeist movie would be complete without Tangina, right? Classic Tangina line. She always delivers the good lines, doesn't she? This house is clean. There's a presence. She always gets them. I guess you just always have to give them to the the Munchkin people in the movies. Oh, she's so cute. She does not look. She doesn't look like she's in control anymore. Remember the first film? She just walked through. She was touching on doors and she was yelling all across the place at different things. She had everything together. She knew exactly what was going on. This one, oh, not so much. Not so much. Now, if you're familiar with the first film, you remember the skeletons in the pool were real skeletons. They were not props. And so, kind of makes me wonder about these skeletons. Ew. That was apparently so gross they cut it out of TV. That one little scene with the lizard. They cut out of TV. Interesting. And another thing, they never did establish where the new family is. They, you assume it's within driving distance of the old house, but I come to find out later, I was reading somewhere that somebody said something about being in Arizona. However, the house that's used here is in California. There's a website that I saw that had the address of this house. I'd love to go visit those places. When did Craig T. Nelson get a mullet? He's never had a mullet. Not in any movie, not any time in Coach. Never did he have a mullet. And he doesn't have a mullet for the rest of this film. He must get a haircut at some point. It is interesting how they're staying away from the TV. Like it's the TV's fault that all this happened. By the way, if you're listening to this commentary and watching it with this film, I'm assuming you found this commentary because you're interested in this film. But if you've never seen this film and you're watching the commentary with it, shame on you. You should go watch the film first. That way you can get every little thing, absorb its messages of hope and light before you listen to it with my crazy ass commentary. I used to know a little girl who had hair just like that. And even Grandma gets a theme. She knew where it was. Probably because she stole it. Yep. She was such a great actress. She was in a couple episodes of The Golden Girls, and she was in a movie with Bette Davis, and she's done a lot of things, and she's fantastic. Craig T. Nelson always reminds me of my own dad. They kind of act the same. Same personality, same, almost even the same physical features. It's very odd. So I guess now he's a vacuum door-to-door salesman, going from real estate seller, very successful real estate agent, to this. So by the way, if you ever become a real estate agent, don't sell houses that have been built on top of grave sites when the bodies have not been moved. Don't do that, because then you become Craig T. Nelson in this movie. I never noticed it before, but Steven made the hand gestures when you want to tell someone that the chick you're talking about has big boobs. I never noticed that before as a kid. And I guess they've given up their pot smoking, because that had seemed like this in the first movie, but they were smoking pot while doing it. But the way they're carrying on, you think they might have just got through smoking some pot. Don't you hate walking in on your parents when they're doing stuff like this? I wonder if that was a little hint to the first movie, since, the first movie had the national anthem in it. Uh-oh. No. That's never good. No. Yeah. You better run. When people walk through other people, that's bad. Very, very bad. And if you've ever been lost in a mall, shopping mall, yeah, that's pretty scary on itself. I remember I got lost in a shoe carnival once. That's right, kids. Say no to the pedophiles who look like priests. What a creepy, creepy song. Oh. I know he's dead and all, but, even spirits can brush their teeth a little bit, maybe. What if that was a conscious choice? Or if the actor really has those bad teeth. And they never did establish how much time has passed either. Now, if they're in real time, the first movie came out in 1982. This movie came out in 1986. So, it might have been 4 years later. We just don't know. Funny, haha. Or funny, let's tear my face off. Sorry, I don't talk very much during these during this commentary, but sometimes you can just get drawn up into these movies. And so she will. Thanks to this movie, I always got creeped out, or this and the first Poltergeist, I was always creeped out by upstairs and downstairs houses. I mean, because you never really know what's going on in the other part of the house. I grew up in a very, very small house. You could see the entire house by standing in one room. Oh, yeah. You just turn every direction, you could see the whole thing. kiss of death. I'm guessing she was already dead when she came in, because now she's getting a phone call from her. If one of my dead relatives called me on the phone, I'd throw the phone into the incinerator. How could she hear through all that hair? Oh. So weird. That doesn't even look like the same kitchen. Sure it is, but... He still has the mullet. A little role reversal from the first movie. Because in the first movie, if you remember, Carol Ann's canary dies. And the mother character has to console her daughter. And now it's the other way around. Don't you just love little flashbacks? Well, the last time the wind blew on her, Carol Ann flew through her soul. Is that what's happening here? Guess we'll never know. And he got a haircut. Maybe he got one for the funeral. Now that Grandma's out of the way, we can finally invade this house. The first scary scene of the entire movie. Which I will say is very, very odd. It was just a bad dream. We're all having a bad dream. I think I had that exact same robot. Although mine never did what this one's going to do. That is one brightly lit night sky. So now they can't enter through a TV. So now I guess they enter through The telephone? Not television, but telephone. They enter through the telephone. It's not even connected to anything. At least the TV was connected to the outside world. Don't we just love it when toys come to life and blink on their own? Yeah, my robot did not shoot smoke out of its mouth either. Love how it's all her fault. Yeah, Carolyn, what are you doing? Where could they be? Now, is the robot pointing to where they are, or just happens to be there? And that was such a letdown. A lot of people have commented on, I've heard people talk about this. The trailer made it sound almost exactly like the first movie. They're here. You know, that was classic. And then in this one they said, in the trailer you heard, they're back. And so I guess that's what you were expecting. Oh no! There's a strange man outside our door. Oh, you can hear the tailor. Oh, and he just waves his hand and it goes away. Be sure and tell him Large Marge sent you. Except this time it's, be sure and tell him Tiny Tangina sent you. And at least they do the right thing this time. They get the hell out of there. They learned their lesson from the first movie. We didn't get the hell out of there. Now we're going to get the hell out of here. The only other two people of the cast. I love that. No! I never had siblings growing up, so all this sibling stuff is just lost on me. Apparently, that's how siblings are. I've talked to people who have them. Very odd scene indeed. Okay, this is the only hint that you're in Arizona. Because now we're seeing what looks like cacti and Arizona landscape. So glad they got rid of that damn mullet. I always thought when I was a kid that this actually was his job. Like he had, like this is how he makes his money. Aw. And of course, they never did specify what Indian tribe it came from, which probably is a good thing. And wow, he's got some white teeth. I love this running joke with the car. It's so funny. Okay. Can't make it any worse, I guess. She even has Tangina's phone number. Uh, Tribal asylum. I love it when people try to defend their racism by saying that they've experienced the culture. Like people saying, I have nothing against black people. I listen to Ray Charles or something like that. I have nothing against Chinese people. I eat at China Garden all the time. In my opinion, that just enhances your racism. It does not defend it or anything. I love how super excited Caroline gets. That's another thing this movie has a lot of good moral lessons. It's an interesting point. I say if a kid acts old, whatever age they act is the age they should be treated. If you have a 13-year-old who acts like an 18-year-old, you should treat him as such. If you have an 18-year-old who acts like a 12-year-old, then you should treat that person as such. Oh, best line in the whole movie's coming up. Not that. Angry? That car is pissed! That's the best line, not just in this movie, but maybe from that whole decade. I don't know. You know, the first movie had, they're here. This one ruined it by, they're back. And here's that creepy ass hymnal again. Which I think it's an actual, like, they just didn't write it for this movie. I think it's a real church song. I could be wrong. Oh, by the way, my little disclaimer is not everything I say is 100% truth. I don't outright lie, but I have been known to fudge things a little bit. I sometimes pretend I know what I'm talking about when I really don't. And you feel free to chastise me on anything that I might say that you just know for a fact is completely bogus. If you choose to do that, though, and you know for a fact that whatever it is that I've said is wrong, then please, make a reference. Tell me where I can go look up to get the right information. I'm always willing to learn. Wouldn't that be a great Halloween costume? I mean, the hat just says it all. Poor dog. So odd to see rain and sunshine at the same time. You rarely see that. I believe you have a problem here. Just a small one. Um, oh my God, those teeth. I know he's supposed to be the bad guy and he's supposed to be dead, but usually when you see the bad guys, they have really nasty looking teeth. I mean, look at the Dark Knight, the Joker in the Dark Knight. Ugh. And of course, Taylor's the good guy. He has perfect teeth. It's an interesting thing if you ever watch movies. You look at the person's teeth. If they look straight or white or both or whatever, then they're probably a good guy. More than likely are a good guy. I love these little flashes of the underground religious ceremony. When I was a kid, I would fast forward through these scenes because I was not interested in the blah, 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 blah talking. Because it made no sense to me. None of it made sense. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Shut the fuck up and let's move on. Let's see something, let's see a tree reach in and grab somebody, try to eat them, or suck someone through the closet, or where's Tangina? Bring Tangina in. She had such a short role in this. She needed more lines. She needed more lines. But now that I'm more mature, I guess you would say, I watch movies from beginning to end, and sometimes I go back and try to re-listen to some of the dialogue just to see, did I hear him right? Did he just say that he knows what he's thinking? He knows what he's thinking. Uh-oh. How? How do we know this? How do you know this information? And I've always wondered what would have happened if he did let him in. What was he going to do? I was imagining him always going inside, be like, thank you for letting me in. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to make use of the facilities. And he goes in the bathroom and he calls up all the poltergeists to lure him around him, and they just destroy the house from the inside. And I'd love to see the screen test of this guy, because surely they didn't know exactly who they wanted when they got him. Maybe they might have. I mean, he's been in some stuff before. Unfortunately, this was his final movie, which is a shame, because he really did put this character on the map. His replacement in Poltergeist 3 was nothing compared to him. But, what are you going to do? And I love he disappears and the rain disappears too. Don't we all wish we had that kind of power? See, another downfall of this movie is there was not enough poltergeist. Where's the poltergeist? I know we're trying to develop the backstory. We're trying to understand what we're dealing with here, which is always good. But where's the poltergeist? This is Poltergeist 2. If anybody's ever seen any kind of sequel to any kind of horror or thriller movie, the sequel always has more. It has more kills, more everything, more of whatever made the first movie so great. It has more of it, more deaths, more killing, more blood and guts, more sex, more violence, more drug use, everything. This one just has more talking, because apparently the dialogue of the first movie was so great that they had to get it on this movie too. I mean, how can you go wrong with the dialogue from the first movie? Just, they're here. TV people. The TV people. I love that. The TV people. A little hint to Taylor's past, a little alcoholism. That's a great answer. I love that. Next time someone asks you what you're doing, just say that. But yeah, the dialogue from the first movie. You moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? What's some other good lines from that? Oh, of course. This house is clean. And, take up the slack! Some people believe that when you die, your soul goes to heaven. So apparently he chose the warrior's path. And he did not. He should have chosen the guardian path. That's a Kingdom Hearts reference, by the way. Next time pick the shield, don't pick the sword. Oh, here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. And poor Robbie. My God. I mean, I know they just want Carol in and they try to get everybody else out of the way. And he just... And I love how he seems to have to shave in secret. And I've always wondered if these braces are real. You know, did he really have braces in real life, or did they put them in here, in his mouth for this part? Probably the latter. Seems like too much of a coincidence for someone to. And see, why didn't they get rid of the telephone? That's where the poltergeist came from this time. Now, when I first saw this, I did not have braces. But I watched it when I did get braces. I did, just happen to watch it again. And I remember feeling pain in my mouth. Because I know how painful braces are. Or they can be. And, yeah. And, of course, Taylor knows exactly what's going on. And they have no clue. Even after the tree incident. I mean, I know you can't play favorites with the children. And I've heard people say stuff about this scene, talking about, I can't believe they never figured that out. They should have known that the poltergeist was just using, him to get to Carol Ann again. And so here I'm thinking, okay, so what would have happened if they had just stayed downstairs with Carol Ann? Let's say Taylor wasn't in the picture. They're just going to let Robbie just nothing, Oh. Boom. Don't yell at the ghosts. And see, why did he want to be let into the house? He's already in the fucking house! That's one thing I never did understand about the scene. He's like, let me in. I'm like, dude, you're already in. I'm sure there was some significance to that, but, it wasn't, no. Poor doggy. And see, here's another scene that I would just fast forward through because I don't care, or at that time, I did not care about backstory. I want to see stuff, I want to see shit happen. I want to see the poltergeist tear things apart, or wrap people up in metal, or, whatever. I wanted to see all that. So, it's a shame this movie didn't have more of that. I will say they made up for it in Poltergeist 3. Every time you turn around, there was something new going on. Some new poltergeist thing. As fucked up as some of the things they did were in that movie. If you play these two movies back to back, or side by side, you could see very similar things between both of them. Because this is kind of like the scene in the first movie where they're whispering about what happens when people, where they're just whispering about what goes on in the afterlife. Oh, and speaking of tearing the family apart, they did mention, I did read somewhere that they did make a mention of where Dana is. And of course, for those of you who may not know, the actress who played Dana, her name is Dominique Dunn, I believe. She was murdered, actually, after the first movie came out. She was actually murdered by her boyfriend, if memory serves. A tragic death. And they tried to, but when you watch this movie, it's like, where the hell is she? So it never makes sense. Where is Dana? And they never made sense at all. And I think I read somewhere that there was a deleted scene, or maybe somewhere in the script they talked about that she was off in college or whatever. But, apparently, so if you know the ending of this, then you know that apparently the love and togetherness of the family does not need all of them, just the ones in the movie. So, might be a little hole in the plot there, but oh well. It's just a shame they don't even mention her. And she was the biggest scaredy cat of them all. She was crying. Every scene she cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. Ha! God, I would love to open the door and just, ha! And let me tell you, every time she comes into the scene, it's just, you just feel so much relief. It's like, oh, it's Tangina, thank God. Thank God it's Tangina. I can breathe again. She always brings that comfort. Boy, there is a lot of drinking in this movie. A medium? Like Patricia Arquette medium? Wow, she could just deliver those lines, can't she? Massacred by Indians. And boy, Craig T. Nelson could not keep his clothes on during this movie. Really? Because that wasn't funny. Don't you just wish you could have that power? Just blue fire. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Blue smoke. Oh, here's the cocaine ghosts again. Or what we think it is. And that's another thing about this movie. This is before the whole secondhand smoke thing became a problem. So, this movie's actually promoting it. It's like secondhand smoke can kill, but sometimes it can protect you from evil vomit creatures, which we will see later. Tangina? Say it isn't so. How can you not trust your instincts anymore? And I really like to know where the hell she's from. Oh, we've seen him. Uh-oh. Don't make Tangina mad. Now tell me what you feel! I love that. Another argument against organized religion. I mean, where is she from with that accent? I mean, she sounds country, or southern, but you never really know. Tangina Barons, What? Surely not. We're an hour into this movie, and we just now realize that now he wants her back. Okay, I've got to find that house and go there and recreate that scene. Just walk down the sidewalk singing the song. Oh, there's that victory music again. We now have hope in fighting these things. Oh no, say it isn't so. I always didn't like that scene when he just leaves them. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta go. See ya. You're on your own. Poor Robbie. When I was a kid, I never did understand why he was wearing that helmet. I just thought he was. I just thought he liked wearing a football helmet, and then never figured out the bat thing either. But then it makes sense. You know, when I got older, it's like, oh, yeah, I'd be pretty paranoid too, especially when Taylor leaves. Oh God. I will say this about the movie: they really wanted to take it to the next level as far as grossing you out. You know, they didn't think the maggots in the chicken and the steak coming to life and all that stuff, and then the guy tearing his own face off. No, we're gonna possess a tequila worm. Now I'm not a tequila drinker, and so I really don't go shopping for tequila. But I have rarely seen the tequila worm. People who do drink tequila tell me that you could buy them with it in there. Supposed to. Oh, excuse me. It's supposed to negate all the alcohol that you just drank, so you will have no. It apparently won't make you drunk. She does. Why are they here? What a lame answer. We were like, oh, really? You know why? Please tell us. Solve the mystery of this whole movie. They don't know where else to go. Oh. Now that's really creepy. Ugh. Ugh. It's so gross. Ugh. I hope everyone who saw this, who's a tequila drinker, never ever drink that worm again. Because you see what happens. I guess he let him in. Some good acting from Craig T. Nelson. By the way, if you like Craig T. Nelson in these roles, you know, of course he plays the good father type kind of character, which is good. And if you've seen Coach, of course he's, you know, really good in that. But if you want to see him as a really bad guy, well, I better not say anything because anyway, there's a certain movie that he's in that he's a very, very bad man, and it's pretty good. I won't tell you which one it is because I'd rather you find out on your own, and I don't want to spoil it. But he does play a very, very bad man. Yes, please, God, Carolyn, put clothes on. Every pedophile in the audience is masturbating right now. Ooh. Little jab at his drinking. And, you know, it's so weird, too. I mean, the Poltergeists are just all about her. They've been wanting to rape her since day one. They tried to do it in the first part. And now they're trying to do it again. and her name. I wonder how long they spent on coming up with her name. Because, saying her name like they do just is so perfect. Carol Ann. Carol Ann. Carol Ann. Carol Ann. Carol Ann. Of course, if you watch Poltergeist 3, there's a drinking game that you can play along with it. And every time they say Carol Ann, you have to take a drink. And if you see Poltergeist 3, you know they say it a lot. Good Lord. No hickeys. Aw. Love saves the day again. This is why you shouldn't drink, kids. Because this is what happens. Ugh. I remember in an interview, Jo Beth Williams talking about the first Poltergeist movie. She said she strained her voice so much by just screaming the entire time, which is what she did and what she's continuing to do in this movie. Oh my. I will give the special effects department credit. This is one creepy ass creature. I mean, wow. Whoever created it did a fantastic job. Because that's some scary, scary shit. Ew. Follow its trail of disgustingness. Yeah. Ew. It's a good thing they weren't behind that door. And then it attacks again, now more fully involved. Evolved. Whatever I said. It's interesting how that reminds me of Alien. Just a little bit. As a matter of fact, if memory serves, I think H.R. Giger helped design the monster here. If memory serves. I could be wrong, but I think that's what I read. And of course, if you know anything about H.R. Giger, he came up with a design for the alien in the movie Alien and all the subsequent sequels. Oh, secondhand smoke? Not so terrible, is it? It saved them. It saves people. Yes, it doesn't just kill, it saves. It kills vomit creatures. Um, but yeah, H.R. Giger, of course, did the alien thing, and that sequence always reminded me of the movie Alien because it comes out of the guy's body, but it comes out of the guy's body, and then like 5 minutes later, it's full sized. And see, now the house is now the poltergeists are kind of. And I love how helpful they're being right now. They're just like, I'll just turn the light on so you can see a little bit better. Ooh, that sound always creeps me out when I hear that pounding in the haunted houses kind of thing. Oh. Boy, she cannot get away from the dead bodies. Dead bodies everywhere. Nightmares about them. That flashes of them. Weird things. And I've always thought those were like eye holes in the door. I'm like, who puts eye holes in a door like that? Oh, now the roof is caving in. He buzz knew where she was. Oh. Aw. No way. It's kind of an interesting mirror to alcoholism. Because he is kind of a alcoholic in this movie. It's interesting because they were potheads in the first movie. Now they're alcoholics. And now the car not starting, or the car being pissed, is paying off. Yeah, we can't kill the dog. This is not Old Yeller. And it is interesting how, they said the car is the safest place, but the garage, not so much. And, this is very terrifying. Oh. Oh, oh, they got a rope around it too. Now, if you watch carefully, you're going to see the stunt doubles when it breaks through right here. Yep. If you looked at Steven, you could definitely see his stunt double, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. I love how paint just spills out all over the car, too. Oh, and even better, they just cut through someone's yard. It's like, excuse us. We're just going to mow down your hedge and get the hell out of here. This has always been an interesting part too, because if it's true that they're in Arizona and Cuesta Verde, they never did establish where Cuesta Verde was in California, but let's pretend that it's in the same place the where the actual house was in the first movie. You know, where it's actually located, which is on the north side of Los Angeles, I believe. Now, last time I checked, to drive from, even if this in Arizona is on the borderline of California to Arizona border, that's at least 5 or 6 hours drive, if not more. And so, you know, now if the sun's down, then it's got to be at least 7, maybe 8 o'clock. And so 5 or 6 hours later, you know, it's plausible. But like I said, that's if this house was on the borderline from Arizona to California. So, I mean, what if it's like in Tucson or something? That's even further drive. It's just interesting. See, I was happier just thinking that this was just, you know, in a neighboring town outside, somewhere in the desert area of Los Angeles. I mean, not Los Angeles, California. Because, you know, you could see the desert not too far away. You know, when they went to that diner, it was in the middle of the desert. So I just figured it was in the, like, the Palm Springs or that kind of area of California. Oh, that part's always scared the shit out of me as a kid. Tangina, you're not supposed to scare us. You're supposed to protect us. You must protect us, Tangina, not not scare us. And I love that. They just have to give in a couple boom scares, which actually I think that was probably the only one. Aw. Although if that was me, I'd be like, no, I'm gonna get the hell out of here right now. Sorry, Mom. But Carolyn is she is a little brave little girl. I mean, she's been through a lot, the poor thing. Tangina's still scared. I'd still like to know what this was supposed to accomplish. They're all dying? I think they're already dead. I think. Whoops. Now, of course, that happens and that, you know, propels the story forward. But, you know, do they have a plan? Yay, Taylor's back. Whee! The light of the family. See, and again, Dana does not count, apparently. Oh, it's so weird. I wonder how many people try to jump into a fire thanks to this movie. You know, I'd love to see a making of and watch this, you know, like, because this is in front of a blue screen, obviously. Uh-oh. The vomit creature survives the smoke and attacks again. Ah, the lance pays off. Ah, that scene is just so weird, yet so funny at the same time. It shouldn't be. Now this part always kind of I never knew what to make out of it because you see all the little things that are following Carol Ann into the light. Okay, is that just random spirits that are following her to the light, or is that some of the poltergeist spirits? You know, or is that all of them? Oh, yeah, you have. But wait, remember the grandmother said that she'd always be there if they needed her. And here's the payoff to that. Aww. But see, I've read some people say that all the spirits went into the light except Cain. And if that's true, then Poltergeist 3, Cain is really fucking powerful because he's able to do all those things in that building all by himself. Which, yeah, he does have some power and he might be able to pull that off, but in the entire movie he kept saying, we need you to lead us into the light. We. So, if it's just him, I don't think he'd be saying we. No. Why would he want that car? Whoops. That makes you wonder if they actually got them. Such a small cast, too. So, that's Poltergeist 2. The Other Side. I hope you enjoyed this commentary, and please leave comments. And I never noticed this before. This is hilarious. A psychic advisor. They had a psychic advisor. Yeah, I was right about the vomit creature being H.R. Giger. Okay, I was right about that. It's always nice to be right. So, but I've never really watched these credits as closely as I just did. They had a psychic advisor. That is hilarious. Did she feed like Tangine all her lines or something? That is so wonderful. I would love to know. Now they've got to make some. They've got to have something about that. I want to see it. I've got to see what this person did for this movie. That is so hilarious. Oh, that just made my evening. Anyway, so like I said, I hope that you've enjoyed the commentary, and like I said, leave comments, and yeah, I know my voice is probably not the best thing in the world to listen to. It's very annoying. I know I can't stand to listen to it either. But if you did find it tolerable long enough to watch this movie, and with my voice attached to it, and if you enjoyed what I had to say about it, please, let me know. Let me know. Maybe I'll make another one. I'd like to make a commentary for Poltergeist 3. And I might do one. But then again, if it, I won't make one if people, just hate this so much. So, I like all comments, whether they be good or bad. But if you plan on leaving a bad comment, don't just say stupid stuff and leave it that way. Be constructive. Be constructive. That way, if I am doing something that you don't like, be mature and say, hey, maybe if you did this, it would be better. And so I appreciate those kinds of comments. Comments like, you're a fucking idiot and you deserve to die. I hope you die, this death or that. Not very helpful. So, and you'll probably get deleted anyway. So just don't leave comments like that. But anyway, again, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the movie, and I hope you especially enjoy the commentary. See you guys later.